If you have been on the internet for the last 2 years, you probably came across a little game known as Warthunder. You probably came across it in an ad or doing a sponsor segment in a YouTube video. However, despite the publicity, this game has been going through a pretty rough time recently, with the community more frustrated at the developer as ever. I think now is a good time to address a question many people have. Is Warthunder a game worth playing? Without further ado, let us begin.
I'm going to be honest with you and say it as it is. I am kind of addicted to Warthunder. It's probably the reason I haven't made a video for over 2 months. And hopefully this video will bury my addiction for good. To understand why I keep crawling back to Warthunder, despite taking breaks, we first need to talk about what Warthunder is. Warthunder is a vehicle combat game featuring over 2,000 vehicles, such as tanks, aircraft, and boats, from the First World War all the way to the modern day. But don't games such as World of Tanks and DCS already exist? So why is Warthunder so special? Some of you might ask. And yes, they do. But you're still wrong. See, games like World of Tanks are very arcadey, use a health point way of destruction, whereas games like DCS are so realistic, you need a 400-page manual to even begin. Warthunder is like somewhere in the middle when it comes to gameplay, as it uses realistic physics and a destruction system, yet does not require a whole book to play. Warthunder has probably the most interesting destruction system of any game, as each vehicle is made up of separate internally and externally modeled parts. All these parts are responsible for different aspects of gameplay. For example, hitting the tracks would immobilize the tank, shooting the cannon or breach will prevent the tank from shooting, but shooting the ammo storage or killing the crew inside will cause. The aircraft equivalent of this is shooting the tail off, shooting the wing off, making the engine and oil ignite, or killing the pilot through a well-placed shot. To know how effective your shot was, a diagram and text will pop up showing a simulation of where you hit, but also the damage you did. If you got a hit displayed, you probably didn't do much damage to your opponent's vehicle. If you got a critical hit, you damaged an important component or killed a function of the opponent's vehicle. If you got a target destroyed, well, have a guess to what that means. This sounds like a cool system. However, its only practical use is complaining about how bullshit the shot was in chat. To maximize the most out of this, think of weak spots as headshots, which can guarantee an instant kill or cripple your opponent. These weak spots are different on all tanks, but I'm going to give some general rules. Hitting machine gun ports, flat armor, result in either an instant kill or a critical hit. Use shells with high penetration, like heat, to make sure it actually penetrates. Hitting the sides is the most reliable way to instantly kill a tank, as the armor is thinner and most of the components like ammo is stored there. Same goes for the back. Instead trying to aim for the back of the turret, as it kills most tanks this way. Don't worry, you don't have to memorize all the tanks from the First World War to the present day, as vehicles are divided into BRs, or battle ratings. It's like the vehicle is matched with those of equal capability, making your job of memorizing the weak spots a lot easier. Part of the reason this game is so addictive is this system, as getting a one-shot kill or surviving getting most of your tank destroyed activates some level of dopamine, and all the game does for me. Another aspect of Warthunder, which I think is designed well, is the game modes, which consist of arcade, realistic, simulator, and some of the other ones no one ever plays. Arcade is the easiest out of the bunch, as all enemy vehicles are displayed on the map using name tags and outlines. The physics are a lot more enjoyable, as the vehicles accelerate, turn, and move the turret much faster. But the greatest difference is the color changing indicator, which helps you lead and aim your shots. I recommend you ditch arcade ASAP, at least for tanks, as realistic battles promote you learning the game and getting kills based on skill, rather than a color changing indicator. Unlike in tanks, arcade battles for aircraft are quite a good way to grind and practice leading your shots thanks to the indicator, which displays where you need to aim. Arcade is also much more fun, as it is a chaotic mess of pure dogfighting with respawns, whereas realistic just shuts off your brain as you watch your plane slowly ascend to get closer to the battlefield, which takes forever to have a good YouTube video or meal ready. If you want to learn to use planes in a realistic game mode, try using the plane in your ground lineup to practice against other players, which will guarantee your team air superiority and prevent them from revenge bombing. Wait, what's that? What's what? Revenge bombing. A cool aspect of Warthunder is the addition of aircraft such as planes and later helicopters in ground battles, which function as close air support, or CAS for short. This allows for you to support your team by clearing objectives from enemy vehicles or trying to be a hero by bombing marked enemy vehicles. However, this is where the problems start, as the majority of CAS players use a strategy called revenge bombing. This strategy is quite brain dead, but with a bit of luck and a semi-competent pilot, is very annoying. To pull it off, you need to get enough spawn points for a plane, which doesn't take much effort. It's like a zone cap and a kill. Then, remember where you died, and fly over there to drop a bomb on the person who killed you. This becomes a problem when the enemy team has air superiority, as tanks are sitting ducks for enemy planes to drop bombs onto. The machine guns do minimal damage, and the cannons can't even elevate half enough to engage the planes. Gaijin attempted to resolve this issue by adding SPA vehicles, or self-propelled anti-air vehicles if you're annoying, which are very efficient at shooting down planes, and that's it, they can't do anything else. Even when the threat of a plane is over, there's still tanks you need to fight off, which anti-air vehicles are useless as they can barely scratch them and get killed in one shot. Using SPA for anything but protecting the spawn is as useful as just leaving the match, which is a shame as it is the only way to reliably deal with CAS, apart from using a plane to shoot down other planes. It says a lot about how powerful a vehicle is, when the only way to counter it is just to use the same one yourself. This is lower tiers I'm talking about. As in top tier, CAS users don't even have to worry about air defense.
We do not care,
as they can just lob a long-range guided missile at you from the comfort of their helicopter, being miles away from any danger. If the enemy does this, you should consider yourself lucky, as the alternative is those same helicopters flying at your team and blowing up anything which moves the moment the game begins. This is part of the reason many people want to remove CAS from ground battles altogether. However, I don't think that's a solution, as in helicopters and SPAs would be completely useless. A possible solution might be to increase the spawn cost of planes and helicopters with bombs and rockets, costing a lot more SP than capturing one point or destroying a tank. CAS should be like a kill streak, where you getting a better vehicle just adds on to your already existing kill streak. Alternatively, Gaijin could implement the already existing CAS system without an arcade, in which planes are available for a short window of time with equal numbers on both sides, as well as having planes take off from bases, which will buy tanks time to reposition. CAS sounds pretty bad on its own, but this video would never have been made if that was the worst problem in War Thunder. That's how it goes either to the grind or the economy. War Thunder's monetization is wild, as the game feels like a casino, considering it manages to have a paid subscription, a paid currency, vehicle packs, loot boxes, battle pass, and a CSGO case and market system for event vehicles. Gaijin believes this is all normal, and decides to constantly fuck up the War Thunder economy by decreasing the amount of silver lions and research points gained at the end of each match. These currencies are gained for free and are used to unlock and purchase vehicles respectively, which directly impacts progression if the amount of you gain decrease each update. You know what's more ridiculous? Having to spend in-game currency to be able to play the game. Some of you probably haven't noticed this, as it is turned on by default, but the repair cost system, and a genuinely annoying feature in higher tiers, requiring you to perform exceptionally well just to break even on repair costs. Imagine playing a game like Forza Horizon and needing to spend money to repair your car so you can drive it. That's just ridiculous, considering it's a video game, and realism to that level shouldn't be implemented. By your logic, we should also have to train our own crews. Oh, wait a minute. The only reason these features are in the game is because Gaijin knows this is a way to squeeze money out of people by adding premium vehicles which come with lower repair costs than their free counterparts, both to make you spend money on the game in case you're in high tier or you're broke, or both. On the topic of premium, War Thunder has a paid-to-progress system which makes free-to-play almost impossible considering how long it takes. It takes around 500 to 700 hours to get to top tier for free-to-play. Gaijin fully explodes this by rubbing the fact that you don't have premium in your face at the end of each match, showing you how much you could have possibly earned and how much time you could have saved if you had it. The fastest way to get to top tier is to outright buy vehicles from the Gaijin store and grind from the top down. However, a good vehicle doesn't make a good player, which is why those who buy up typically ruin the top tier experience by rage quitting the moment they die, therefore causing unbalanced teams, making one side win depending on how many people left. And the way Gaijin tries to justify the long grind is by saying that they will lose out on revenue by making the grind shorter, which I'm going to prove is completely false. Imagine you're a new player who watched a Warthunder ad and wants to play as one of the new MBTs or fighter jets. You download the game, and when you press on the research button, you see the vehicle you want to play all the way at the top. The text tree alone is enough of a turn off for new players that when I got the game, I left it after like a few matches because I just couldn't be bothered to grind that much. The current system is actually going to lose them more money. If the grind was a lot shorter, players would get invested and therefore spend money on the game. How do you think Club Penguin managed to rack in so much despite the grind being fun and the microtransactions being completely optional? They're making the fruits of your labor worth it and achievable. So far I've mostly discussed negative aspects of Warthunder, something which Gaijin isn't helping themselves with. However, it is an aspect of the game which is almost impossible to ignore, considering Warthunder's flawed progression impacts almost everything else in the game, especially the amount of fun you're getting out of it. I do still think you can have fun in Warthunder. However, that fun is very situational, as playing Warthunder feels like a chore, considering the grind. A synonym for playing Warthunder religiously is also known as Stockholm Syndrome, and with that said, I think that Warthunder is a one-of-a-kind game. However, due to the issues I mentioned, I don't advise you play it in its current state, unless you want to develop a severe Stockholm Syndrome, spending addiction, or any other mental illness. If you do, then I think Warthunder is perfect for you.